and welcome to the PPS General training. If you have not accessed Provider Connect before, please make sure that you have access to it by contacting your service manager or requesting access to Provider Connect through the Milwaukee County BHD CARS webpage. You can also access the Provider Connect website from that webpage as well. I have already accessed the Provider Connect webpage by doing so. So using your username and password, you will type it in the username and password fields. For the training, I am logging in as training example. To get to password, you can either use the tab button on your keyboard or left click on in the password field. Then enter in your password. Then left click on login. Next, it'll bring you to this page with this little PSA. Once read, you'll left click on continue. Then it will bring you to a general news section. We recommend that you carefully read through these different news proceedings, as these will impact your access to certain forms or Provider Connect in general. Once read, you can either go to next page for more news, or a previous page, or skip to main menu. I will left click to skip to main menu. From here, I can do a series of different things in Provider Connect. But to access the PPS General, the PPS Mental Health, the PPS IOTA, and the PPS NOMS form, I will left click on Lookup Client. From here, I can find the client through a series of identifying information. For this example, I will just search by the first name. For the training, we are using a dummy client. This means that this client is not based off of past or present consumers, but the information in this training is merely for training purposes. Once I have enough information typed in that will help me find this client/consumer, then I will left click on search by criteria. If I know that the client ID or medical record number matches for whom I want to fill out a PPS form for, I will left click on the client ID. This will bring me to the demographic section of their case. Please verify if this information is accurate before filling out any PPS forms. In addition to that, please make sure that the provider diagnosis or ICD-10 is filled out as well before completing the PPS General form. The first form that you will complete in the PPS bundle is the PPS General Information form. You will navigate to the left-hand side of the screen and left-click on the State of Wisconsin PPS General Information. Then select the correct episode which corresponds to the consumer. This page will list the episode number, program, which includes the agency and the associated program, and the start and end date of that episode. So left click on episode 1. In a previous iteration, I have already filled out the PPS General form and submitted it. However, if this consumer has never had a PPS General form filled out for them for this episode, this will be blank. You will not be able to see a data entry date, a data entry by login, or select it. It will be completely blank and you will have to left click on Add New Record. So though this form exists as a test, I will not left click on Select. I will left click on Add New Record. For the PPS General Information form, as well as the other forms, we're going to assume that this consumer has started their episode. Therefore, the forms will be filled out in such a way that they will speak to the admission status. The assessment date refers to the first date of assessment. Pretty straightforward. This will be today. All fields in red are required. Fields that have black text are optional, but we do encourage you to fill out the information if you know it. If you do not know it, then just leave it blank. I don't know the family ID, so I will leave it blank. If the consumer is Hispanic or Latino, you are required to indicate it. I will say no, and these pieces of information get filled out based on prior information in the demographic form. This is why it's important that it is filled out before the PPS General form, because the information can be carried forward. However, if you find that the information has changed at follow-up or discharge, correct the information in the demographic form and the PPS General form. So, since the member is not Hispanic or Latino, I'm going to indicate that, yes, the member is not Hispanic or Latino. Next, they ask if the ethnicity is unknown. I will say no to. And then it asks if the member's race is unknown. If I select no, then the race field becomes required. You may select up to 5 different races depending on if the consumer identifies as biracial or multiracial. The county of residence at time of service should almost always be Milwaukee County, as Milwaukee County residents receive services. The county of residence at time of service will almost always be Milwaukee County, so I will left-click and select Milwaukee County. There are a series of referral sources to treatment. The referral source is how the consumer was referred to this service, whether it's the self, through the courts. Fill this out to the best of your ability. If unknown, then you can select the referral source refers to agency or person who recommended the consumer to this type of service. This can be done through an expert, self, law enforcement, the courts, social services, or a family or guardian. It really depends. If unknown, you can select unknown. I will select self. The education status refers to the current known education status of the consumer. I will say high school diploma or GED. The education status may change at follow-up or discharge, so it's very important that you fill that out or change it when you submit a follow-up or discharge form. The referral source, education status, employment status, living arrangement, veteran status, and race are all required on the PPS General Information form. Employment status may change as well at follow-up or discharge. Again, the follow-up time period is 4 to 7 months from the episode start date. And if it's a long-term consumer, the follow-up date will require another follow-up, and that follow-up will be based on the first follow-up date until they are discharged. For the employment status, there are a series of options of not being in the labor force for various reasons. If they're unemployed but looking for work, full-time, part-time, or unknown. I will say part-time employment. Living arrangements refers to the known living arrangement at time of admission. The same logic can be applied for the follow-up or discharge. This will be the living arrangement at follow-up or discharge, which may change over time. I'm going to say private residence. You may ask the consumer if they are a veteran. This is pretty straightforward. If no, yes, or unknown, I will say no. Their race refers to white, Caucasian, and then with race, it's a pretty standard racial category, which you can choose whichever is most fitting if they identify as one race. If biracial or multiracial, you can select up to 5 races as mentioned before. I'm going to just select the first one. If you feel as if the information is accurate, you may click Save Changes to submit the form. If you feel as if you have made a mistake and you want to start from square one, we recommend that you cancel changes. Or if you feel as if you're not confident in the accuracy of the information and can't get a hold of the client, you are welcome to do the form again by canceling changes as long as the form at admission is completed in a timely fashion within your compliance parameters. Once the form is completed, depending on the type of service the consumer is seeking, you will either fill out the State of Wisconsin PPS AOTA module or the State of Wisconsin PPS Mental Health module. You will not fill out both forms. You may fill out one or the other. However, at each point in time, such as admission, follow-up, and discharge, you will be required to fill out a PPS NOMS supplemental form each time. The order of the forms in which you need to complete is the PPS General Information Form, the PPS AOTA Module Form, or the PPS Mental Health Module Form, and then the PPS NOMS Supplemental at admission, follow-up, and discharge. Next, you have the option to complete the PPS AOTA module or the PPS Mental Health module training. Thank you.